The future is ever changing based on the decisions we make in the moment as a society. That's the reality of it. We have a choice as as a collective to make different decisions. So therefore, Earth went through a collective heart chakra opening. The Earth has chakras as well. So the Earth is actively working to restore itself back to health as well. So my name is Joshua Radowin. I am a spiritual coach, a psychic, and an intuitive healer. I live in the United States, and I am excited to be here today. I've had a few brushes with near-death experiences in my life that left me a changed man. I was an atheist. I grew up in the church, but after um, years of just not really putting in any work in my spirit, I felt really disconnected. And I had always seen these signs and these synchronicities in the world, but I didn't really know what to make of it, and I kind of just shoved these things down as just mere coincidence. In 2017, I was really struggling at the tail end of my addiction, and at that time, I began to see entities, demons. A lot of people speak about their, experiences with the other side as being these blissful experiences where they experience, oneness with the Creator. And the truth is because of where my vibration was at and the way in which I was living and the guilt and the shame, I was attracting a lot of these lower vibrational entities, and they had really just kind of surrounded me and swarmed me. It was around 2020, right after COVID hit the United States. I was really in a low place, depressed state. Like I was making changes in my life, but at the same time, I needed more help than what traditional psychology was offering. The medications made me low, they made me lethargic, and it was at this time I started reaching out to the angels, right? And I was shocked and a little scared when the angels started showing up because of how, I was a little bit sacrilegious during my, earlier years, and so when the angels started showing up, I was a little nervous, to be honest with you. But at that time, Archangel Metatron started showing up, and Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael started showing up, and I started working with their energies. Metatron showing me, coming to me through, sacred geometry and Metatron's cube, and Michael just coming to, like these entities that had swarmed me never really left. Like I was able to kind of keep them at bay by keeping my body clean, my mind clean, but the truth is they were still just always on the outskirts of my aura, waiting for me to let my guard down. And because of all this, because of the years of addiction, the years of alcoholism, what had happened, I had done a lot of damage to my mind, and I was really, really in need of some healing that, medication just doesn't offer. In my experience, medication did not help me personally. So when I began to reach out to Archangel Raphael, I could see him, I could feel his energy come into me, and it was so amazing. And it was about this time I started to have visions, like I would close my eyes, and like this is before I really stepped on any type of spiritual path, so I wasn't aware of the chakra system, I wasn't aware of the third eye. But as I would close my eyes, right in the center of my forehead, I would see angels flying towards me. And I would just see these energetic silhouettes as these beings came, and I could feel them. It was like being wrapped in a energy hub, and it was the first time in a long time that I had actually felt safe. And from there, like the path has just got more and more interesting. I opened myself up to spirit. After going through these repeated dark nights of the soul, I opened myself up to the Creator, to spirit, and wasn't shortly after that the word shaman kept coming to me. And once again, coming from an atheistic background, the idea was still a little bit much for me. Like, I don't even know what that is. And then that's when I started down the shamanic path, and now I teach classes in this. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with people looking to open up their gifts. One of the things I learned in going through a spontaneous spiritual awakening like this without purposely trying to do it, is that I've learned what works and what doesn't work, and how to help people open up their gifts and their spiritual side and protect themselves while doing it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this world. I think we're all beginning to wake up to the fact that there's been a lot going on that hasn't been talked about for a long period of time. And thanks to podcasts like this, we're beginning to see that more, like the more and more of this information is getting out into the collective. And, I ask, the creator every morning, how can I best serve today? And this is where that path led me, is to help serve my, fellow humans in waking up to their gifts and removing the limiting belief structures, the fear, the worry, the dread, the anxiety, the inner and outer judgment, and help them to open up and protect themselves from the unseen. So it's been an amazing journey to get here today, and that's what I've been doing the last 4 years. Though I've dedicated my life to this path. I completely cold turkeyed myself off all the medications that they told me I couldn't back in 2020, and I have been living my best life ever since. So there is a different access point for every single person, right? So when I teach people how to open up their third eye, I figure out what works for them. Like one of the things that I run into with a lot of people is they'll watch a lot of YouTube videos, they'll do a lot of meditations, they'll do a lot of frequency music, and they'll still not have that experience of that, the third eye opening. So, for me, it was finding the access point that worked for me. Like for me, it was setting the intention that I wanted to open it, that I wanted to see things. And, it's also about removing some of the limiting belief structures that are in there. The one thing that I have found with people that come into this lifetime that are just more naturally gifted is that we have a lot of past life wounds that we need to heal. And a lot of these are associated with the third eye, because the truth is a lot of us were put to death for our gifts in past lives. So we come into this life with a subconscious or unconscious fear, and we fear opening these gifts up. So this is one of the major hindrances that I've found on the path so far. But as far as opening up, it's just practice. Practice makes perfect. For me, my process, a lot of breath work in the beginning, and sometimes it's not meditation. Sometimes it's just being able to see in the real world as well. Like once you open it up, like we get so wrapped up that, accessing the information, we have to be in like Gyan Mudra and, connecting through complete silence. But the truth is once it opens up, you can see right here, like there's flashes of symbols and how spirit speaks to us all around us. And, through angel numbers and synchronicities, these are all the ways that we see and perceive with our third eye. It's just becoming more aware of our surroundings, becoming more present. It's so much of it's about presence as well. Presence and, stillness and being able to be comfortable. The trouble in this day and age in opening the third eye is that we live in a society now that is moving at such a fast pace, so much technology, all the instant gratification around us. We are always keeping our minds busy, and when you're in the mind, you're kind of out of the third eye. So that is it's a bit of a trick. It's a bit of a trick, and it's discipline and dedication in working towards that goal. Absolutely. Absolutely. The third eye can see the past life, the future. The third eye is what taps us into the Akashic Records. This is our transmitter and our receiver to the Akashic Records. And for the record, most people have their third eye open to some degree already. Dreams from time to time that are prophetic and have played out in my day-to-day life. The truth is, in the way that I see the world is constantly shifting. And there is a lot of fear-mongering out there by a lot of practitioners because it's like the hot button thing to do. The truth is there's so much fear in the collective that I think a lot of people tap into that isn't necessarily the truth. Now, could I be wrong about that? Absolutely. But as someone who's been a deep-level pattern recognizer for a long period of time, I look at the patterns that are around me. And I look at how societies have operated. So, to look to the future, sometimes you have to look to the past. right? It's just as they say, history tends to repeat itself. Now, do I see this world evolving and more people coming into their gifts and being able to connect more with, extraterrestrials and things like that? Absolutely. Absolutely. I do see this as not far off into the future. There's a lot of people that have been awakened to this point that have had some amazing experience in this regard. Now, like, a lot of people have been talking about the world ending and these things, and, like, I don't see it. I also know that in the country I live in, which is the United States, what happens during election season is there's so much disharmony in the collective because of the back and forth between political candidates that it really does muddy up the waters up there, and people can kind of tap into that unknowingly. And it's since it's such a time of chaos, they can pick up on that energy. And the thing about the future is ever changing based on the decisions we make in the moment as a society. That's the reality of it. We have a choice as a collective to make different decisions. So therefore, based on what's going on every single day, the probability lines shift. In the way that I see things. So one thing I noticed back in August of 2024, just a couple months ago here, Earth went through a collective heart chakra opening. The Earth has chakras as well. So the Earth is actively working to restore itself back to health as well. So a lot of people went through, there was a mass awakening at this time. And, there's been a lot of solar flares happening, a lot of light code downloads, a lot of energy coming in and out for the last 3 months. And I think it's here to help wake people up so we can raise the vibration of this planet, so we can keep moving forward, right? We're lighting more and more people up on the grid right now to continue to spread that word, that love. Like, love is what this planet's calling for, and that's why we went through a deep level heart chakra activation. And it's no coincidence to me that this happened all after the Lionsgate portal. The Lionsgate portal being extremely feminine, like being, like working with the goddess Isis. And so that being said, like I've seen during this heart chakra opening a balance of the masculine and the feminine in a lot of areas, and I think that's going to continue for a while. The truth is that the feminine, and when I talk about the masculine and feminine, I'm talking, we all hold these pieces within us. It's yin and yang. We all have these pieces within us, but on the grander scale of how it's operating, the world has been driven more into the mind and less away from its feminine essence. It needs to find its balance, and that's something that I'm witnessing right now here, is that we are learning to open our hearts more. You're seeing this more and more across the globe. Not that you'll see this kind of thing on the news much, but I will tell you, in the places that I go, I am seeing more beautiful interactions, more tribes of soul, families coming together, love being shared. It's really a beautiful time to be out there. Another one of those things that I think a lot of people take on as, it's just a fear. It's a fear to distract us from living in the present moment. And like, we're meant to live here in the moment of the now. Like, the way I look at life is I'm living in the eternal moment of now. So to look into a future where the world ends, I'm sure there's multiple timelines where the world ends. That's, we live in a world that is absolutely limitless. So, but it's not something I tend to look at myself, because it doesn't do me any justice. For me, living in the now is what it's about. All of that, apocalypse stuff for me is a distraction from me doing the absolute inner work that my soul came here to do. I think people have had a lot of visions with this, and people have had a lot of visions about us, ascending into the fifth dimension as a collective. But, for me, I believe we're here to do the work to just evolve our souls. That's my experience. And I honor everybody else's take on this too. Other people have seen things that I haven't seen, and I honor each individual soul's journey. my take on this is a little bit different, that a lot of these things are meant to distract us from the deep inner work that we are here to do. And one of the greatest tools that are used to keep us from reaching our maximum potential is fear. So that's not really a rabbit hole I go down too much anymore. I've been there though, but it's not a place I choose to look. But I see the world becoming more and more beautiful every day. And the world is a reflection of ourselves. So, the more that we raise our vibration individually, the more we raise our vibration as a planet, and the more we begin to see the change in the world. We are each the universe, and as more and more of us begin to live through the heart, begin to live without judgment, begin to live without fear, without that worry, without that anxiety, we begin to raise our individual vibration, which in turn helps raise the vibration of everyone around us. And that's my mission. That's the one that I focus on based on my journey, because I know that to be an absolute truth in my life. I believe that we all have the ability to change within us, the ability for transformation, and so that's where I put my focus. What about war? It's interesting. I'll tell you. I stopped watching the news in 2016, and it's because I decided that I no longer wanted to be a part of that. I saw something back then, and it was two circles, and it was the circle of influence and the circle of interest. And I found there is a place where I can make change in this world, and there's a place that at this time that I can't. And where my circle of influence and interest overlaps, that's where I work from. So, once again, these wars are part of human nature, right? Like, this is just our governments doing what governments do. It's hard for me to actually comment on these things because I'm not there to witness them, right? Like, I don't necessarily believe everything I see on the news. I don't watch the news anymore, for that matter, so I don't really know what's going on, in regards to a lot of this. It's just not something that I choose to put my focus. My focus is on helping people step into their fullest expression of themselves, to become sovereign beings and, own their power and find emotional and energetic safety in the world. So, war will always be there until we decide to step up, and that's why, the mission that I came here with is to help wake people up to love, because love is the balance of war, which is based in hate and disharmony. So I choose to fight my war in the battle of opening people's hearts, and it's not so much a war as it is a mission of love. Positive or negative future? It's a good question. I think it's always what you make of it, right? The thing about positive or negative, it's an interesting concept because you can kind of see how it goes back and forth all the time. As someone who's watched these patterns for a long time, you watch societies come and go. Societies come and go. It's you study history, and you can see the patterns of how these things work. And there's always the statement that history tends to repeat itself. I think there will be a breakdown of certain systems, so new evolved systems will come in. What that looks like at this time, I don't really have a clear vision on, but I know that we are moving into an age of love. We are moving into an age of more love, and that being one of the new languages, that it's about us coming together. This is what a lot of these entities are here trying to teach us. They're trying to teach us and wake us up so we can realize that we're not separate, that we are all part of the whole, right? Like, we have been separated by country, by nationality, by race, by religion. And the thing is, we are all part of the same whole. So, I think the long-term, awakening is coming into that place where we respect each other and we honor each other for the unique and individuals we are in our belief systems. I see that in the future, and as that evolves, some of the old systems will break down. It doesn't necessarily have to be as bad as it always has been. We are a lot more evolved than countries were previous when these things were happening. We have, gentrified in a lot of ways, comparatively. Nature just doing what nature does. Nature tends to balance itself. Nature is to some degree unpredictable. There are things going on that do seem to be manipulating nature at this time, and I think that is a little bit of cause for concern. But for what it's worth, nature always has a way of balancing itself. We're never going to best nature, and I'd suggest anybody that's watching this takes part in that to really think twice about what you're doing, because this is our home. But nature is balancing. I hear a lot of things about overpopulation and these things, but as I drive through my countryside, right, and I get out of the city, I see so much beautiful land that is still just untouched, so pristine. And I really recommend that anybody who's listening to this go out there and spend some time in nature. If you want to connect to your core essence, go sit in the forest, go sit in the rainforest, go sit in the rain. Tune back into who you are. Get away from the screens, get away from all of the noise. Go find nature, and you'll find that nature has your back. We are one with nature. We learn to harmonize with nature. We've been pulled so far away from who we are at our core that this is why life has become harder over the years. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but life seems to be moving at a faster pace than it ever has. I remember 20 years ago, and it seems like time has sped up. And I talked to a lot of people who are going through this as well. And the place where I find that slows down is in nature, and in that appreciation of nature, and in that it's harmonizing with the changes of the season. As we step into winter, we plan our garden of the next year, and in spring we plant our gardens. In summer we tend to that crop, and in fall we harvest. When we can learn to harmonize and work with nature, as a collective, we're going to be in such a better shape. So, yeah. In my opinion, what is the new earth? I think it's about, for what it's worth, I think we're here already to some degree, right? Like we are up-leveling, individually as we do the inner work. It's about perception, right? Like if you think you're stuck in the old world, you're stuck in the old world. If you think you're part of the new earth, you're part of the new earth. I tend to struggle with some of these, even the 3D, 4D, 5D consciousness concepts, because to me they're a way to separate us more. It's like another form of separation. So, what I feel about the new earth, I think that we all carry the kingdom of heaven within us. It's just a matter of being able to see it that way, to be able to perceive what it is, to actualize ourselves and to become the creators of our reality is, to me, what it would be to ascend to the new earth, or to be in the new earth. So I'm not really a new earth, a movement guy. Once again, I find a lot of these things to be distractions to doing the personal growth work that gets us to the next stage of our evolution. I can tell you, and I tell you this from a place of having gone down so many of these rabbit holes before, when I stepped onto this path early, trying to figure out what was actually going on in the world. And what I finally came to terms with, at least in my personal truth, that this is a lot of distraction that was meant to not really help my soul evolve. For me, it was about learning how to evolve who I was as a human being so I can create the reality that I want. And so if there's a concept of new earth, I feel like I'm there, but I don't feel like it's a fifth dimension. I just become a conscious creator, and I try to help people, reach that state as well. Well, how people can prepare for that, like once again, like I teach classes in this, my email will be in the notes here, but it's about getting focused on beginning to understand the self. Everything that's outside of you is not going to help you in your work. Like it's important to sit with yourself, sit with your wounds, sit with your belief structures. This is how we ascend. We sit, and by ascend I mean levels of consciousness, right? Like different layers, different levels. And it's about being able to look at all aspects of yourself, to really discover yourself. One of the first symbols that came to me was the spiral as I got on this journey. And it was because it's a journey inward, like so much of our life we're out here. And it's beautiful, like it's a combination of both the outer and inner work. But like this is where it starts, is the inner work, is being able to take a deep, honest look at yourself. Right? Like we all like to pass judgments on the world. We all like to, have opinions on everything, and that's great. I mean, that's great, but at the end of the day, if you want to make actual change in your life, you have to look at yourself first, right? Like if you want real change, you have to take responsibility for the conscious creator you already are, because you've already manifested the life you are currently living. So if you don't like it, it's time to look at yourself and see where you can make those changes. And that's where I help people, because that's exactly where I was a few years ago. I had to take an honest look and say, hey, I am a creator, and this is not very good work. I had to be very frank and honest with myself. And, through that process, and working with some amazing teachers, I've developed a lot of processes to speedline this so, people can get through, these levels a lot quicker and safer. There's a lot of ways that people teach us out in the spiritual community, and we draw from all of it. We do that. We blend the psychological with the energetic, because you can't unlock the magic without doing certain levels of the inner work. Or you can, but it's not extremely safe, because there are a lot of things out there. There are entities out there that chew on people in the astral as they light up in this world, in this game. So it's important to first get solid in yourself. Like the way I teach people, first step is we find emotional and energetic safety. If you got a great handle on the emotions, and we work a little bit harder with the energetics and learning how the astral works and how to protect yourself in the third dimension. And from there, if you're struggling with the emotional side of things, the program combines it both, and it comes with a lot of coaching. Like we coach people because, once again, everybody's lived a different and unique soul journey. So the cookie cutter programs don't work. Everybody needs a different level of help, and it's about helping people step into that. But it's the inner work. It's the inner work coupled with the experimentation of how this world actually works, and getting past the limiting belief structures that I don't have these gifts, or I'm not special, or that's only for other people. Everybody has these gifts. There's nothing special about any of us to do this work that isn't special about you. That's what we're all creators here. We're all creators, and it's beautiful to watch people awaken to their God-given, their creator-given, the fullest potential of themselves. It's one of the most beautiful processes you can watch and undertake, and to go through personally. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to this today. If you can like and comment, I'm open to, like I know that we have all lived a different journey, and I want to hear your experience too, right? Like I don't profess to be the end all and know all and be all of this particular plane of existence. So drop a comment. I'll be monitoring this, so I'll be able to comment with you back and forth. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at my email account. It is joshua@kellysparta.com. That's KELLESPARTA.com. And, once again, there's links to below. If you look me up on Facebook, it is j.d.radwan at Facebook, and you can find me there as well. I'm so easy to connect with. I will get back to you as soon as I see your messages. So I love connecting with people, and if you're interested in either one-on-one coaching to unlock your spiritual gifts, you've gone through an intense spiritual awakening process, and you're looking to kind of gain some clarity around what that looked like for you, and just kind of find a more centered and grounded place. I do a lot of these sessions as well, and I teach courses on people stepping into that next level of consciousness, opening up your gifts in a safe way that keeps you protected, keeps your family protected, and brings out that beautiful healer within you. So and it all starts at home. So thank you everybody for being here today, and God bless.